Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DoorDash LCO. I'm Mac, this is Jubes. That's probably Elfish Guy over on the far right of screen. He's looking handsome today. Jubes, you're looking pretty. You're looking beautiful too. Just let it be known. I know you hate compliments, but you also love compliments, so here's a couple for you. Damn, that was a really great cast, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to everything you guys had to say about the previous game, and I'm still very excited about how much you have to say about the other three games we have today. But before you reply to that, and before you guys get a chance to speak, I'm going to keep saying words at you. Why? Because you guys at home have been giving us the good content. 2 memes for you. That's 4. But look, there's 2 on either hand, and that's what I was looking for there. However, it is Dar and Tara. Step up your meme game, Dar. I take a couple of days off of memes and get called out on the LCO. True, because you're our favorite bloody content creator. And you've done a good job, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the games. Look, we're just extremely excited though. Now, we do have another meme to jump over to as well. Of course, this one is from Space Ghost. So let's have a look. New guy dropped on at LCO. He comes in 2 different aspect ratios. Oh, no.
I saw a bunch of people in the chat actually saying, like, some
Why?
people are saying, am I doing a Juice cosplay? And some people are just saying, is that 2 Juice on the show?
Oh
I
my
feel like,
goodness.
I feel like what we've got today is we've got Juves and Skinny Juves on the show. So I'll just leave it at that.
Wait, did you just call me Fat Juves without saying that?
No, I just called you Juves.
No, you called me. If you call yourself Skinny Juves after you call me Juves, you have definitely just called me fat.
What are you going to do about it, though? What are you actually going to do about it?
There's nothing I'm going to do about it. There's absolutely nothing I'm going to do about it. But let it be known, I'm the real...
I'm waiting.
I don't even know what to say, man.
I am the real...
I knew this was going to happen. When I saw your facial hair, I knew this was going to happen, and I wasn't happy. I need a copy... Can I copyright this type of facial?
Do you need me to shave it off?
Yes, I think, Jubes, you've got the look and it can be copyrighted.
Yeah.
And Jordan, you're just going to have to wear something different.
But
so
it's
you
not
at least...
copyrighted right now, so I can
Look,
do
all
whatever
you
I
did
want.
to try to be weird was like, hey, I'm going to push my hair to the opposite way to Jubes. And that's the only thing I see different here. Maybe, Jordan, you're just not going out the sun as much because there's a little bit of extra tanness there for Jubes. Either way, Jubes, you have full right to be completely offended. This man is so rude.
If you're going to take all my good things about me, at least take some of the bad things. Here, take my nose if you want to cosplay it.
I tell you what, I've already cosplayed Mac, and I'm cosplaying Juves this week, so I think we're going to get ready for a Nat cosplay next time around.
Can't wait to see it.
Love to see that one. Now, we do have a second game to get to. As much as I'd love to continue arguing about this one, let's jump into the conversation about Pentanet and Order. Of course, Pentanet, we'll talk them first. They are on the top of the table, and they're there for a reason. They went to MSI and came back pretty much doing the country proud. And then they sort of had a little bit of a nap towards the start of the split. A couple of L's here and there. But then... they figured it back out and started getting the dubs again, and it seems like they are going to try and continue that trend today against Order Juice.
Yeah, and I could be wrong here. Need some confirmation. They did say, I think stylistically, that they would never lose to Order. That it's just impossible. It didn't matter how they played. They said that they can't lose to Order, just in terms of style, in terms of how they match up across the board, right? And if you look at where Order really get their advantages, you know, PGG, Pentanet.gg really do deny that. Like, Pabu and Chaz are such a strong 2v2. And I think this team in particular has such a strong concept on draft. And I think this is where they get majority of their wins and where they make their life so easy is just from draft. I think they have a very high IQ when it comes to the game.
Okay, well, another team that hopefully has a pretty damn high IQ as well is Order. So let's talk Order here. Jordan, tell me, what do you love about this team? What do you hate about this team? And what do you think is completely irrelevant about this team?
Yeah, I mean, they've been having a great run, haven't they? They've got themselves a nice win streak brewing. It's up to 6. Will it be 7 at the end of this week? I guess we have to wait and find out. What I love about this team, Kevy and Puma, I think are the 2 key points to me that seem to leap out of the page. I think across the board, I got to say I love them all. Beats has been having a great time in that support role as well. I feel like it's remiss not to mention him, given that he, at the moment, is the player that I think actually has the most MVPs out of this split alongside Pabu and Safa. But aside from that, I mean, I just think like Kevy coming back into this roster, I know I've said it a few times, it feels like, is it just Kevy or is it the team as a whole? I don't know what it is, but at the start of this split, there's just been this big resurgence from Order. I think we're maybe all a little bit disappointed with how things panned out for them last split. Coming through to split 2, Kevy comes in the roster, has some good performances on the jungle, seems to be a really, really good asset to the team, and the rest of the team lifts around him. So I think I really just love all of it. I really love what I'm seeing from Order. I think they're probably looking at the moment like the second best team in the region, just behind PGG. I would say I think this might be a potential preview of the grand final. A lot to be said, I guess, with Peace having these roster changes come through. Can Chiefs have a resurgence, etc., etc.? What about Direwolves? They're still worth mentioning as well. But Order, they're looking really, really good. Pentanet also looking very, very good at the moment. So the last couple of matches being quite close makes me think that this one should be quite an interesting one as well.
Well, like a true politician, you didn't answer the second question, which was, what do you hate about this team? But I'll give it to you because you gave us a whole lot of information and it was all very bloody good to listen to because you're such a damn good talent, Jordan. Oh, I'd be jealous if you didn't bloody try to take Jube's bloody dignity today, you piece of... Anyway, we do have an interview to get to as well, so let's bring Nat back into the conversation. Now, Nat, tell me, are you offended for Jubes as well? Are you part of the train?
I don't even know what's going on, I'm not going to lie. I would like to stay very neutral and say whilst they both may look similar, they are both very handsome men and they are both amazing individuals. So I'm going to stay as neutral as possible here.
I'm excited.
Beautiful in different ways.
By the way, I'm excited to hear what you say about how handsome I am when I try and do a Nat cosplay, because that could potentially throw a spanner in the works.
That's why I just said beautiful then. Beautiful individuals. I'm
go.
prepping for that one. But I guess two other beautiful individuals that I will be talking to is going to be Decoy and Chungy. Thank you both so much for joining me. Chungy, yesterday when I was talking to Puma, he said that a lot of your prep time had gone towards the Chiefs matchup. So I want to ask how confident you're feeling against PGG, and I guess what the game plan is going to be if you spend a lot of time prepping for Chiefs.
I guess given our recent form, I think we're all like pretty confident. I wouldn't say that like it's not going to be an easy win. So just whichever team comes up on the day, like we'll take the win.
That is fair enough. What do you think is going to be an advantage for you guys over PGG tonight, though?
Well, I'm not sure what we're gonna draft, but like I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't know. Sorry.
No, that's all good. I was hoping some confidence to come out from you and be like, mid lane, it's going to be me. I'm going to be absolutely wrecking it in mid lane, but we'll pretend you said that one. Decoy, over on the side of PGG, how is the atmosphere there for tonight's game?
Atmosphere's always good. Honestly, I'm getting a little bit bored right now. The games are fairly easy on our win streak, so I'm hoping Order, win or lose, can give us a good game tonight.
What are you hoping to see come out tonight that will give you that, I guess, good game?
I'm not sure. Just them playing well as a team, I guess, because I think like in every role we match up really well against Order. I think that's why my teammates say we can't really lose to Order no matter how badly we play. So yeah, hopefully they just play well as a team.
Does that mean we could potentially see something different for you guys in the draft to try and spice this up?
I think draft prep is pretty standard for us today, so maybe not, probably not.
You do talk about how you think you're all pretty matched evenly when it comes to skill. So who is the biggest threat on Order for you guys over at PGG?
Usually I would say it's just the Kevy show, but lately Beats has been playing really, really well. I think last split he was playing really terribly, but he's really good at the split, so it's for sure Kevy and Beats.
There has been a definite improvement over there on Order. But Chungy, I do want to ask you the same sort of question, is who do you think is going to be the biggest threat towards you guys on the side of PGG?
Probably Pabu. I think because he has a champion ocean, so it's really hard to like draft. Yeah, when Pabu's on the enemy team, because he can play anything.
Very true. That does make me really excited for draft. So I will let you both go. Thank you so much for joining me and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
There you have it. So Pabu, very scary individual. I know if he was tilted and talking at me from all of the content that we've seen, I'd probably be a little bit scared too. Because it sounds like you just don't want to talk to him when he's tilted. Now, let's see if this is going to be one of those games where he does get tilted, if Order can really take it to Pentanet. And let's put our money where our mouths are, of course, as we bring up the predictions yet again. I am 49 and 24. I think I'm probably coming last at this point. Pentanet there for Jubes and Elfish Guy. No one going for Order on this page. Do you think Pentanet just too good, Jubes?
Yeah, I think they're just too good. Every point Decoy mentioned, right? Like he said that he thinks they're just too good across the board, and I tend to agree with them. I think Order probably have found some success through pick ban. I think they've been getting away with murder, to be honest.
Okay. And what about you, Jordan?
Yeah, look, I mean, I guess we've already established that Juves and I are basically the same person today, so there isn't really much more for me to add in this one. I think Order have found something that works for them. And it works for them against the teams that are not Pentanet. Now, the question is, and it's the most important question, is it going to work against Pentanet? And I think the answer, generally speaking, for most teams, regardless of who you are and how good you are, is going to be no. So, in my mind, it's not necessarily a slight against Order. It's more so that I just think Pentanet is a bit too good at the moment, and they seem to be in great form. Yes, so does Order, but this is Pentanet we're talking about, so hard to go past them.
Very true, very true. Now, on page number 2, there is no Order here at all. Nat, I think I'm beating you in predictions. What's going on?
Yeah, definitely. I try and put not a spicy one in every day's prediction, but one that I think is probably going to be the closest and has the most potential for an upset. You probably will see that in next game's predictions. I think I might be the only one standing out there. But this game, gone with PGG. Similar to what Jordan said, nothing against Order. I just, interview-wise, speaking to them, they obviously prepped a lot for Chiefs. It worked really well. I kind of wish they had the confidence to say the same for their prep against PGG, and it would give them a little bit of a leg up, but I guess a lot of their importance were placed on beating Chiefs yesterday. And so for me, yeah, definitely PGG just have that strength.
Okay, well, one of the strengths of both of these teams are the mid laners. So let's have a quick look at the head-to-head between both Chungy and your boy Chaz. Battle of the Chaz here today. Now, again, Chaz doing that weird hand symbol. Don't know what it is. Again, I'm not going to listen to what you guys said yesterday. Chungy thinks he's number 1. So, Jubes, you weren't here to have your 2 cents worth. Which one's better?
I do like Chungy's one, only because when I played soccer, I did kind of do that. When I scored, that was like, you know, the
Can
number
you give us
one.
a rendition of that?
No,
Was there a bit of a...
Yes, you can.
No. This is a broadcast of professionals, and I am the utmost professional.
What do you mean? We're about to go to Champ Select, and that means that you need to get hyped up because the game's about to
Can I
begin.
just say one thing? Let's go to Champion Select, boys and girls!
I love that.
Okay,
we not
well,
going?
well,
You
we
really
can.
threw me under the bus.
No, but
now
I
I'm
have
still
to
here.
do
Now
it.
I'm so embarrassed.
No, it's
about
fine.
It.
You can be
Oh,
embarrassed.
wow.
It's okay. It's
That
all
was
right.
good.
Let's go to Champion Select, boys and girls!
Hey, it actually worked when Mac did it. That's
Why
funny.
did it work when he did it?
It doesn't work when you do it, I guess.
I'm actually tell you what, when we have our little feedback session with Mr. Producer, yeah.
Ooh, he's in the bin.
He's gonna cop that from me.
He's feeling a bit scared already after hearing that. Anyway, let's talk about Pentanet and Order. This is a really, really big matchup. It could potentially still be the battle for first place. Right now, 14-4 for Pentanet, 13-5 for Order. If Order were able to get the win, obviously they both move to 14-5. So you'd have to sort of look at the matches they have next week. There's some tough ones for both teams, I think, in next week's matches. But if Order wants to take first seed, they must win this game because Pentanet is not going to let it happen against anyone else.
I haven't ran the numbers, but I do believe that Pentanet has the head-to-head against them, even if Order win this one, right?
They do. It's 2-0 right
Yeah, so like this is just a must-win in terms of if you want to take that first place and hope that Pentanet hiccups somewhere else along the lines. But what I'm seeing so far in the draft, I like the early signs for Order, right? You know, Maximize getting himself on some comfort. You know, he's going to have a tough time in bite, which is Biopanther, but the Jax counter.
Yeah, something that we used to see a lot. I think that was a big talking point in the top lane for Split 1. It hasn't really eventuated all that much. There has been a couple of Jax versus Camille matchups in Split 2, but really hasn't been a big deal in this split. I'm actually more interested to look towards the bot lane again for Pentanet. Again, they get that Leona through for Decoy. He said he's a little bit bored. Maybe he should try a different champion, right?
Yeah.
Been playing a lot of Leona, and I'm one of the kind of people that, like, I I can't understand one tricks because I just get bored playing the same champion. I'm like, I want to play something else. Decoy doesn't seem to have that problem. I guess just wants to pick up what works.
Oh, I'll tell you, in competitive, like, because I used to think the same thing. I get bored playing champs now a lot. In competitive, you're not even playing the champ anymore. There's no, like, I don't want to play it. If anything, you want to play your one tricks because you're so nervous on stage that the comfort of the one trick is like, oh, thank God, I know I'm not going to stuff up mechanically.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to talk about was like this Camille Galio combo is pretty much, 2018 all over again. And Order are the one team that just consistently play this duo, right? And obviously, the Hextech ultimatum is just freebie, locking down a target, getting the Galio access to the backline. And it's something that they execute so well. The problem that I think, they're going to run into is that Biopanther is going to win this 1v1 topside, right? If no caster curse happens and he plays the lane accordingly. So they're going to have a rough time answering the side lane because it is going to get to a point potentially where Jax can 1v2.
Potentially. See what else gets pulled out here for Order, if there's going to be an answer somewhere else in the draft, or how things are going to pan out here for Biopanther. It's, I guess it's not necessarily a typical Biopanther champion. I know he tends to move towards the tankier choices, the more bruiser-esque, even, we're having this discussion about Set. Like, I felt like Set was almost as far down the rabbit hole towards the damage end of the spectrum that you'd probably go for Biopanther on most occasions. But I'm sure he has Jax in the wheelhouse. I think any good top laner should, so there's no reason to expect that he's going to have a bad performance here. Down in the bot lane, though, we get Braum through for Order, and Braum was, I think, a big talking point a couple of weeks ago. How do you think it sort of rates into this particular composition?
Well, Braum blind was the talking point because
Exactly.
you just get enchanted and you can't do anything, and then you just get outscaled, right? Like, you think about the Lulu, the Karma, the Yuumi. Even Yuumi's like old school into Braum. But if you take Braum as a response to what is like a Leona or a hard engaged champion, and Leona's pretty much the only one left in the bot lane, other one being Nautilus, then you have a very good time in the 2v2, right? Like, the Braum and the Varus is expected to do very well into the Leona and the Aphelios. You kind of just stop all the engage coming through from Leona. So in this instance, I really do like the Braum pick because you're going to have a Jax and a Volibear also diving backline. So the fact that there's like 3 or 4, melee ranged champions means that there's going to be a lot more value on this Braum pick.
What's the final choice here for Order? It's going to be a jungler. So they do give Kevy the, I suppose, the benefit of the quote-unquote counter pick. He gets to see everything that Pentanet's going to throw at him. He opts for the Diana, which, you pair that with the Galio, you pair that with the Camille. You can see that there's going to be a lot of value there. Sort of clumping them together, sets things up nicely for a Varusol. So, I mean, in an ideal world, you look at the composition that Order have put together and you think, in their perfect team fight, there is almost no recourse for Pentanet. It's just that getting that perfect team fight is much, much easier said than done, especially against a team like Pentanet.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you're able to find either, and again, it's not even like it has to operate in one way. Order have so many options in terms of if Diana goes first, Diana can find backline, then Galio can follow, Camille can be secondary. There's so many ways in which Order wins team fights, but I guess the bane of their composition is that if they're not able to kill someone instantly in the first iteration of ultimates, whether that's the Diana ult, the Varus ult, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a lethality Varus, then they may run out of damage, right? In the extended fights, like, you're going to get out damaged by the Aphelios, by the Victor, by the Jax. So whilst it all looks good for the 5v5, there's they could fall short at the finish line, and we need to keep our eyes on that because those champions that PGG have, they scale very well, they get very durable, and then they don't even need to necessarily team fight to win the game. The Victor just acts as really good pressure in the mid lane, really good priority, really good wave clear, which then leaves Biopanther to get the job done.
Yeah, it's a very quintessential Pentanet draft, isn't it? I think you look at every single player there having gotten one of their comfort champions, with the exception maybe of Biopanther. Not to say that Jax isn't necessarily a comfort champ for him, but again, we've spoken that maybe it's not the traditional sense that we get from the top lane of Pentanet, but Pabu on the Volibear, Victor on the Chaz, Aphelios for Praetor, Leona for Decoy. These are all champions that we've seen these guys on time and time and time and time again. So it kind of ties back into what you were talking about, where when you're in these stage games, you just want to get onto something comfortable, and we've seen them deliver on every single one of these champions in the past, and so that is a scary, scary thought for Order. But with that said, you've got a good solid composition coming through for Order as well. and maximize on Camille. That's a good choice. I think Kevy, playmaking ability on the Diana. We'll hold all these thoughts because I think it's time for us to jump into something a little bit more important. We do have an interview here with Calvin from Order, and I'm very eager to hear your thoughts, Calvin, on this matchup. First of all, I guess the big question is just how are you going? How are you feeling coming into this game?
Hi guys, I'm great, and we're definitely good going into this game.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk to you about it in particular. Obviously, in the context of this split, you've had 2 losses to Pentanet already. So is there anything that you've sort of identified that you're looking to change, or someone that you're looking to target? What's kind of the game plan, in a sense, coming into this game? And the other sort of side question to that is do you consider this a bit of a grand final preview?
Well, I think stylistically, Pentanet does give us the most trouble. I think probably many people would have identified that from our previous clashes. But I mean, this is I don't know, today's game for us. It's like we have a few theories developed against this team, and we just want to try it out because I think we're pretty confirmed, to be in the winners bracket of the playoffs. So I mean, for the rest of this split, we're pretty much just testing out theories.
Yeah. Would you consider these 2 teams the top 2 teams in the split at the moment?
I definitely think so. I think we will see Pentanet in the grand finals.
Awesome. All right. Let's talk about the patch a little bit. I know there was a lot of discussion around that yesterday, but I don't think you got to have your 2 cents there. We know that 11-14 was actually a really good patch for yourselves, especially, looking at the Graves buffs and that kind of thing. Is there anything that you guys are looking towards for 11-15 that you find interesting or promising?
Well, I think 11-15 shifts like the top side meta a lot. So you're seeing a lot less bruisers in the mid lane. You're going back to the mages, which is what Chung is a lot better at. And also, Max will be able to play sort of like a more diverse champion pool. Like you see today with first picking Camille, whereas that is not quite viable previously. Right. So I think this patch, it does give us an edge over other teams overall, and also it does make us explore sort of different champions that will probably keep a secret until playoffs.
Yeah, of course. So don't want to give away too much. It'd be quite a bit of a throw. Anyways, let's talk about the drafts. Last question for you here before we let you go. We've been sort of chatting about it. It seems like you've put together a bit of a wombo combo on the order side of things, but Pentanet definitely have some nice scaling with their selections. Are you at all concerned about this draft? Are you pretty happy with it? What's your thoughts?
I think for both teams, they've pretty much got the draft that they wanted. I mean, Chaz is on his Victor most played last split. This is on his Aphelios, that's what he's known for. Decoy on Leona, etc. So, and for us, we've got Changi on the Galio, we've got the Camille for Maximize. I think both teams we should fare pretty evenly, and yeah, I think a lot of this game will come down to how both teams play the map.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm very much looking forward to this game, so we might leave it there. Calvin, thank you very much again. Always appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Juice, well, not a whole lot been going on so far. A little bit of a tease from Pabu up into the top lane. Doesn't amount to much.
Not much happened, but the one thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that, I mean, we talk about how smart PGG are as a team. Level 1, they invaded the enemy red buff, right? And I might stop here because there'll probably be a fight.
If he's invested that dash onto the Raptors as well, but he's going to get out of there fine as Pabu just zones him away. Changi will get caught by Victor's field, but he's okay as well. So really, a whole lot of nothing, really.
The cannon,
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about the cannon.
No, but the one thing I wanted to quickly touch on was... Oh, never mind.
Never mind indeed. Praedith might have the lockdown actually onto Beats. The flash forward. The Q connects for Decoy, and now Beats, well, he does have flash available, but probably better off not using it here. He was a dead man. Decoy goes forward onto Puma. Could it be a trade at least for Order? Puma has the flash and cleanse, and Decoy somehow survives.
Yeah, that's huge though, right? Look at the summoner spells burn on Order bot side of the map, and it's really good laning, really good 2v2. And Pabu just parting down to bot lane. Like, they map split early on, which got BioPanther a little bit of a lead early into that lane. And that's what I was going to talk about. It was so smart from them, but it was just rudimentary from Pabu after that, right? Like, he's just clearing down to bot side, and He popped his head into almost every single lane, and then the one that gets him his glory is the bot side. And, you know, they're off to a very good start, PGG.
Yeah, well, see what Order can do to bounce back. You've got Kevy on the Diana, so he probably wants to spend a little bit of time farming to get to level 6. Hasn't been able to, you know, increase that gap over Pabu by virtue of spending a little bit more time in the jungle as opposed to in the lanes. But even still, he's up to level 5 fairly shortly. I'd say once he does finish this romp, he should hit that mark. And so just one level away.
Volibear's early clear isn't bad at all. Like, Volibear's early clear is so healthy, relatively okay in terms of speed. And, I mean, after it, you can gank, right? So if you're able to pick up a kill, get a Sheen on your first base, then you're laughing. Like, those camps are going to go down quite quickly. Obviously, you know, you inevitably just lose in terms of tempo to champs like Diana and whatnot, but Pabu right now is going to have a lot of agency in this game because he should, with press the attack, even just win the 1v1, right, against Kevy. Every time we see, you know, a contest for this grab, we're seeing on the way pings by both teams. We might see a bit of a kerfuffle.
It could be a big one. Chungi and Chaz, having both now hit level 6, do have the ultis available. Decoy is going to connect the Zenith Blade. Now, there is a flash available for Chungi, but he's just going to walk out to safety. Gravity field coming down just half a second too late.
That's never a flash or never a kill burnt. But what it is, it's this really good chunk in the mid lane, and it allows Pabu to secure this crab.
Yep.
So Decoy is just doing a very good job, and I mean, this is the evolution of Decoy, in my opinion, is that every time he gets a reset, or every time Praedeth is safe with the lane pushing back towards him, he just finds one thing to do on the map. Whether that's drop deep vision, gank mid, burn summoner somewhere else, he just seems to, in every game, find a little advantage. Now, in this instance, it's probably only a 1 or 2% advantage, right? In terms of the grand scheme of the game. But I mean, it's just something to keep your eyes on. Every time Decoy gets a window of opportunity, he's going to take it.
I mean, an advantage is an advantage, right? So you put a bunch of 1 or 2% together, eventually that becomes a 5 or a 10%.
Yeah.
And that actually is something meaningful. It's going to be more difficult for Beats to do that as well, right? I think we've been really, really excited about what we've seen from Beats, from Order in general this split, but in particular from the bot lane, and Beats has been a big reason why we've been so excited about Order. But when you're on a champion like Braum, I feel like finding those roam abilities or roam opportunities is much, much harder than it is for someone like a Leona. So Beats might have a bit more difficult time influencing the map than what Decoy will be able to. Pabu is floating, so there is a potential dive waiting for that bot lane. Maximize TP available. Does have control of the top side of the map, but it's like Pabu more than happy to just walk off and take the blue buff instead when that spawns.
The one thing I want to see out of PGG is keep focusing mid lane. The one way that you beat global compositions, and I consider, ooh, nice trade. I consider global comps, you know, Galio, right? Is you play through that lane. Because if they turret dive bot side, Galio's going to get an ultimate down there, and then it's just a coin flip, right? Taking someone out quick enough. But in the instance that you play through mid, the Galio ultimate loses so much value, and that is a lot of the champion's kit in the early game. And they do have enough CC to warrant a kill in the mid lane. And playing through mid also stops, you know, what we saw earlier, Biopanther getting dived, right? Because if there's no prio mid, and Chungi's just having to play at his turret every single time, then, you know, your side lanes are a lot safer. They can play their lanes out. The Jax can slowly start to beat the Camille. So, again, I want to see Pabu at least maybe try and burn a flash in the mid lane if he can, because you're always going to be at a numbers disadvantage in the sides.
One thing that strikes me as a little bit worrying here for Order is that they have just slightly gotten behind early on in the piece, right? That initial kill's gone over to Pabu. We saw him picking up the dragon here as well. There was a trade, there was an exchange. Order were able to get themselves the Rift Herald, so we'll see what they can use as a result of that. But just looking at the two compositions, you look at Pentanet, you think if they're ahead early, if Order's not able to sort of keep the pace with Pentanet, I think very quickly they do start to fall behind once the Ophelio starts to scale, once the Jack starts to scale, the Victor here as well. So that's got me a little bit concerned, but it's not the end of the day just yet. Heavy, as of yet, hasn't been able to find a way to get into any of these fights, and I think that's going to be a big turning point. If he can find an opening, if he can get the Diana working, you know, that sort of seems to enable Chungi a little bit as well, then we'll maybe see some fireworks.
Yeah, maybe, but Galio drafts in general don't necessarily win lane. And I think
No.
there's like a misconception about...
We'll hold that thought for a second because Moonfall has been invested in the top lane, and that's the end of BioPanther. TP coming through from Chaz, trying to save Pabu, but Chungy is there as well, and that is most certainly going to be the end of the Volibear. The kill is gifted over to Maximize, one for the top laner, one for the jungler, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. That was the moment we've been waiting for Order, and it gives them the opportunity to get that Rift Herald down for Maximize and for Chungy.
Yeah, it's just a really good gank from Kevy and Maximize, set up really well in the 2v2. They take down BioPanther just about as Pabu gets there, but more importantly, this is kind of what we touched on. It's so hard to play through a side lane versus the draft that Order have. If you're trying to skirmish, you know, where Maximize is, where Kevy is, and Chungy being able to cheat tempo, still having the teleport, it's going to be a very rough time and a very hard game for BioPanther to play. You know, he just kind of... That's how you have to trade on Jax. Like, that's not bad from BioPanther in terms of his one-on-one lane, but, you know, unfortunately, you have to consider Kevy did just take down the Rift Herald not too long ago. 3 plates left topside. If you do the math, potentially you can figure out he's going to drop that Rift Herald topside. But, you know, all of a sudden now, item advantage topside, you know, going to be an item advantage in the jungle. And we talked about they needed to kind of, Order that is, needed to get ahead. Well, they found that angle, they found that window because now they're ahead.
Yeah, top tower broken. So that gives Maximize a little bit of room to move. Interesting to see what he does with that one. 4 members of Pentanet, or rather 4 members of Order at the top and 5 members of Pentanet right in the middle. Praetor does just overtake Puma for a second here, but you can see the gold going exactly where it needs to. Chungy and Maximize have got big numbers. Kevy there as well. Puma's feeling like he's been left out a little bit, but hey, you are the champion that's going to take a little bit longer to scale, I suppose. And for me, I really want to be seeing Kevy in particular having a lot of gold going in his direction, right? That Diana feels like a playmaker. It feels like the best engage, really, that Order have got. And if he's strong, then I think the rest of Order can follow up quite easily on what he's going to be able to do.
He's ultimately... He's not sole AP, obviously, because they have a Galio. But in terms of pure damage that the Diana can put out in comparison to the Galio, like you take the Diana every day of the week, right? Like if you're Galio, if all Galio is just a bit of utility, bit of CC, bit of it, you know, engage, except whether that's secondary or not, the Diana is just going to do far more in the back end with gold.
Yeah.
So you got to be happy with how the game's played out so far. 1-0-1 on the Diana Kevy. And I mean, maybe, I can't even remember, this might be the first time we've seen him off Graves in a very long time. I thought, you know, I was getting to a point where I was like, does he know how to play something else?
Well, I go back and we did see the Graves for the last couple of games. There was a Kane in the middle there, but yeah, it was 5 games of Graves, with the exception being 1 Kane game in there as well. So I guess if we talk about the last 6 games, 5 of those were Kane, Graves, I should say. 1 of them was Kane. Now we've got the Diana through here as well. But yeah, I mean, I think he definitely has his comfort champs. He definitely likes to head in a certain direction, but you need to be able to go a little bit deeper into that quote-unquote champion ocean.
The one thing I want to see Order do is actually what Aladoric did last game with Peace, is I want to see them use this agency from Camille to actually do something on the map. Right, it's all well and good to stay in your 1v1 and just trade minion waves, but I mean, put the pressure on Chaz. You have such a good dive comp with Diana, with the Camille, because Camille can actually drop turret aggro with the Hextech ultimatum as well, right? We'll potentially see a contest on this dragon, so I might stop my point there.
Yeah, teleport just coming up for BioPanther at the perfect time if they want to go for this. Pabu is standing on the blast cone. In fact, he's gone over, doesn't get the steal, and indeed is going to get blown up. Not quite. Beats flashes the wall, and that's going to get the kill for Puma. It was a nice knock-up from the Glacial Fisher. It's a dragon and a kill that go over to Order, and they might get a bit more out of it as well now that they have that priority in mid lane.
Yeah, and I mean, even here.
Ooh, Hextech ultimatum on top of BioPanther, and the hero's entrance locks him down. Nowhere to go. This is perfection so far from Order, and it's really putting Pentanet under the pump.
Yeah, such good map play from Order, right? They identify the comp that they have. They know they can start this drag. Ooh, Kaz may even, never mind, be in a bit of trouble, but I was going to say, like, it's just so well identified that you're not going to lose a dragon fight at this point in the game with the draft that you have, right? The Varus, the Braum, the Galio, the Diana, there's too much CC, right? And PGG haven't done enough scaling to actually warrant contesting that. Pabu opts in for the 50-50 steal, which you know, at this point in the game, it's just absolutely not worth it when you take all things into account. You look at their scaling, you look at their champions. You have to say, you know, it's a famous PGG line. We do a little bit of trolling, right? They say that in a lot of their interviews. And it just feels like this early game, they've done a little bit of trolling. But again, it's been Order that have kind of forced their hand, right? They forced their cards. They've said, you know what? We're going to be the ones making the plays. You can either contest or you can give. And they've done a little bit of both, which has been to kind of their demise.
There's still that ticking time bomb, which is Praedyth on the Aphelios.
Yeah.
Has finished off the Immortal Shield bow, so that's one big pickup for him. Those that he's going to be dove upon a lot today.
And Chaz is in a good spot too, right? Like, it looks bad because topside and jungle are in pretty significant deficits, which again, it's not a good thing by any means, but in terms of what's stable on the map for PGG, it is the Aphelios, it is the Victor. And again, for as long as this mid turret stays alive, they're going to be okay in this game. But as I touched on before, I want to see Maximize threaten dive mid now. You don't need to be sitting in your side lane, you know, just mindlessly hitting minions.
2-0 on for him. He's been doing a pretty good job. Been getting a bit of assistance. Chungy twice now. The two ultimates that we've seen through from Chungy have actually headed up in the direction of the top lane. So maybe that's part of the plan. Get Maximize ahead. Keep that pressure in the side lane and continue to look for advantages elsewhere. It doesn't seem like that's much pressure coming through from the Jax, but Puma, he's completely caught out. Nice flash, dodges the Zenith Blade. Is there a turn to come here for Order? TP in from Maximize and Biopanther, so they both invest about as much as one another. But Bio's wave is not exactly in the greatest of positions and being pushed through the tower either way. Into mid. What? Heavy forces the stopwatch. I'm not sure what that was for. Maybe a little bit of a misclick, but hey, they do get the charge down. So mid tower looking freakishly low now for Pentanet.
If I had to guess, he thought he had pots still. It's just a reflex. It's a jungle reflex. You always have pots. And in this instance, he actually sold them for, I think maybe it was a stopwatch. Just to get the funds, but just a reflex, muscle memory maybe. Burns the Zhonyas, which it's a big deal. But if they can stall, it's not really a big deal. You know, he's not far from the completed Zhonyas. So could be okay, but I mean, look at this. Even solo turret gold going over to Praedyth. Getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, letting as many creeps die to the tower as possible before it goes down as well. So that's just taking a little bit more gold away from Order. Just to point out, Kevy's at about 500 gold right now, so it's only a few hundred away from getting the completed Zhonyas. And that's... Well, actually, maybe it won't come up before the next objective, right? 1 minute left on the Dragon. I'm not sure that he's going to get that and have time to reset before the Dragon pops. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. If Kevy does drop early in this fight, you know, could that stopwatch have made a big difference? I guess we'll find out. Only time will tell.
Time will tell. Father Time catches everyone.
Yeah, just talk about that cleanse and that flash that we saw last game. We brought that up a lot. Maybe this is another instance of it.
Well, there's no flash on the Varus too now. That's important to take stock of. Does have the cleanse, so safe from the long-range Leona engage. But in terms of stabilizing, Pentanet.gg have done a very good job. They've done a good job. Bipanther's up 6 CS now. Obviously still in a hole in terms of gold. But in terms of, I guess, creating a stable map state, they've done well. But and then you have to consider relative strength of Order's composition. They're only, what, 2k ahead? But I would say that it's even more when you just consider how the lethality on the Varus, in terms of the current game state, Order feel like they're in a point of power now.
They do. How much are they going to really be able to push the issue? You know, Pentanet is not the kind of team that you want to let just cruise through to the late game when you've got an advantage. Here is Chaz and Pabu trying to survive. Predator boots were popped by Chungy. They won't be able to get on top of their quarry.
He actually wins this. Yeah. I was just say Jax.
Out.
Yeah, Jax even from behind. Again, you can't be in like the biggest hole in the world, but Jax from behind even still beats Camille in the 1v1. This is why you see this actual matchup pick. Like the theory is, you're not a 0-2-0 Jax. Oh,
what's happened here? Maximize. He's got flash available, and he'll get back out over the Baron Pit. In the meanwhile, Order busy picking up their second Dragon for the game. So the passage of play works out. Glacial Fissure doesn't quite connect onto Praedyth. Now Puma might be under a bit of pressure. Decoy gets in there deep, but he's on his own. Chaz and Praetor just a bit too far away to make a difference. Maximize, ticking away. Oh! The Luden's proc gets it done, and Chaz comes up with a bit of magic for Pentanet just when they need it, because Pabu is charging forward, flashing forward, gets the lockdown onto Beats. Chungi forced to come forward to try to save his support, ends up giving up his own life. Kevy gets the Moonfall in, but it's not enough to do a sizable chunk of damage. And as you say, Praetor is just sitting in the back line alongside Chaz, pumping out damage, and Order might just have given up a little bit more than they needed to.
And it's like actually a 30-second passage of play that was a little bit of lack of discipline from Order, right, on the side of Maximize, gets punished into, what, a 3k gold swing? I mean, that last team fight, Praetor was just doing absolute numbers, and we were talking about Praetor and Chaz being the two stable points on the map for PGG, and they were able to just turn this one around completely. Nice sidestep from Praetor here. Decoy stalling just enough time, and the good thing he does here is he brings them so close to the wall so that PGG members with range are safe, and they're still able to do so much damage. Luden's bounce, fantastic, and then they're playing a real eloquent dance. Like, this is just a game of millimeters, a skirmish of millimeters, where you just need to micro your character backwards and forwards, just enough to stay in range, but get out of range, right, once your cooldowns are up. Perfect Zonias from Pabu. Praetor to Chaz remain untouched on the back end. Flash forward here, pick up 2 kills on the back end, and you know, this is dangerous territory now. And again, sidestep.
Yeah, Chains of Corruption comes out from Puma just as that replay ends, so that's a big cooldown. Here comes Kevy. Praetor will cop the Moonfall this time, and he's the focus of fire. Has got the Immortal Shield Bow to keep himself alive, and Puma just takes a massive chunk from Chaz right there with the laser. In the thick of things is Biopanther and Decoy, and that's exactly where they want to be. This game does not slow down. In fact, I think it's going to start picking up from here because the fights are coming through thick and fast. Pentanet seems to be getting the better of it.
Praetor did a little bit of baiting there. Is that what we call it? A little bit of baiting with the laugh, with the taunts in the mid lane there. Forced the engage onto himself, but I mean, it's not a big gold lead. It's 800 gold, but with the relative strength of Chaz on this Victor, I mean, you saw what he did there with the Chaos Storm on top of Puma. Just pretty much one-shot him from full health, and,
crazy.
Puma just had to leave the fight. So, I mean, keep your eyes on this Victor, keep your eyes on this Aphelios. Order really need to go back to what their actual composition does, because at the moment, they're just pulling solo engages. Like, when have we seen the Camille hookshot into a Hex deck, into a Galio ultimate? They have so much lockdown for key targets, yet it's just disjointed engage. And you can't force, or you can't bring yourself to play PGG's game, and because you won't win. You just won't win if you're playing a Mechanics Max team fight battle, right? You need to execute what you've drafted.
Puma is hanging around, maybe looking for a cheeky ulti in here somewhere. Kevy Beats nearby, but Decoy just wanders away to safety. No need to put yourself in a dangerous position as Pentanet right now. They've got what they needed. They've got themselves back into the game. They've got the lead. They might well lose this middle tower. Order finding a nicely timed rotation in there, and Chungi picks it up. But it's not the end of the world for Pentanet, right? They've taken down Order's mid-tower. Game starts to open up a little bit. The map starts to open up, and that presents more opportunities for both teams, to be fair. But we're no longer in a position where it just feels like, okay, Order is the one in control of this game.
No, now it's actually really hard for Order because they need to do one of two things. They need to first contest this mid-priority that Praetor is getting on his own. Yes, he has a little bit of a hover, but without mid-priority, you can't make side lane plays. Or without priority in any lane, you can't make side lane plays. But most importantly, it's mid lane. But then if Puma and Beats decide to do this, like maybe they're the ones that get engaged on by the Leona, so it becomes this fine balancing act where you need Chungi to come down as well as a 4-man. But it's all tempo-based and it's all reset-based. At the moment, Order don't have tempo, and with the resets that are coming on through, they're not going to have tempo to really, I guess, get control of Summoner's Rift for a very long time. And with Dragon spawning, it's all face checks. Now they have to face check, and they aren't able to pull fights on their own terms.
I think they're not interested in taking the Dragon fight here. In fact, you can see a lot of those pings going in the direction of Baron. There is a ward there, though, for Pentanet, so they'll be on the money pretty quickly when they do see Order hanging around. Might even just leave the Dragon for now and turn their attention back towards that Baron. There is a little bit of a roadblock in mid. That's the Braum and the Galio trying to slow things down, trying to slow this approach, but That Baron simply is not going down fast enough. Only now starting to go down to about a third of its HP, and Pentanet have already arrived. There really isn't much to be done there for Order, and in fact now that gives full priority over the Baron pit to Pentanet, who are more than happy to try and force this fight. Decoy has a flanking angle.
I mean, these are Aphelios guns. You can't fight. Look at Predator's guns. He's just got chakra arms spinning around for his days. Yep. That's the brrrr Aphelios.
It's going off straight onto the Baron. Look at him.
He doesn't care.
It's literally showboating, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
what are you even doing? You're not doing anything.
No.
But he's just like, hey guys, check this out.
He's just wasting ammunition. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. Anyways, so that was interesting. No dragon as of yet, although it doesn't really get Order out of the hole that they were in going into it. Right? They forced Pentanet away from dragon for but a moment, but very quickly their attention is going to turn back in that direction. Right? Mid-prio established. Chaz able to push that one straight in. There's still full vision control here for Pentanet. Absolutely none for Order. They're going to have to try and face check their way into the Dragon Pit, into the Pixel Push, and into a Solar Flare. Zenith Blade from Decoy. Gets the engage onto Chungy, which is maybe not what Pentanet wanted, but it's enough to force Order away. So they don't get a big team fight win, but they do get the Dragon for free.
It might sound funny to say, but if you engage on the Galio, that's like half their composition that doesn't exist, right? Because Galio doesn't want to play front to back, where he's the one just in front, getting hit by the by the Aphelios, by the Victor. He wants to be able to kind of, it sounds funny to say again, but gain backline access and assassinate with the Camille. I mean, you have all of the tools to execute these team fights, but it just feels like the tempo is not there for Order. When you play these comps, you have to be on Summoner's Rift first. You have to be the proactive one. You have to be on your waves first. And the ones in terms of in control of the vision. But I mean, I can look at Summoner's Rift minimap and I'll hold the thought.
Yeah, Kevy finding the engage onto Chaz. There's TP through
go.
from Biopanther, but it might be a TP to his death. Hextech Ultimatum is going to lock him up, and who does this kill go to?
Baron?
Over to maximize. Could be all important. Definitely not a Baron angle for Pentanet, though they were hanging around there. It's certainly in the wheelhouse for Order, and they head directly to the pit. Chungy will bypass Pentanet. I mean, they're looking for a pick, aren't they, Pentanet? But they're not going to get one. Good awareness, good fundamentals from Order, just getting those red trinkets down, make sure there's no one hiding in those bushes, and now they start the Baron up.
Nice little caster curse there.
Chance of corruption not going to connect on the Praetor. There's a Zenith Blade on offer here for Decoy, but the Solar Flare not followed up upon Prabhu. He was inside of the Zonya, inside of the stopwatch, as that Baron got smited. And so that one is going to go the way of Kevy. Order gets what they want. Pentanet are trying to remove as much as possible. But look at this angle for Kevy. He does have Moonfall. It's going to hit everyone. Parbu's done here as well. And Kevy goes right back over the wall, gets the better of Chaz, and all of a sudden, the game flips back on its head.
I don't even know how to break this down, Elfish. It was just 2 picks in bot side of the map and overstay from Chaz to stay for that bot lane turret. Very well punished from Order. Maximize coming in there. I mean, it's just a 5-man death squad now, right? They pick up the Baron. They try to recover losses, PGG, but it's just not good enough. It's not enough, and now they have the Baron, and they're probably going to take the inhibitor here.
Yeah, I'd say so. Still 5 seconds on Decoy, and let's be real, what difference is he going to make? He needs the rest of the team behind him, and there's still another bunch of time for the rest of the lads. So inhibitor will go the way of Order. It is a mid inhibitor, so it's not the worst thing in the world for Pentanet. You know, it's not a side lane. It's easier to deal with. Decoy, I thought, might go for something there.
I mean, maybe he didn't have Solar Flare. I don't know. But I mean, again, when you're a 3 versus 5, you can't play for 50-50ing, right? Well, you can, but you can't play for the fight after. Once they get this kill, they kind of got to be happy with it. But Kevy's like done so well to stay in the fight here because they don't know he's there. And he lands a 3-man Moonfall, pretty much cleans up the whole back end there, uses his second reset to get on the back end and picks up another kill. But, you know, probably a silent achiever that we haven't really spoken about because the game's been so chaotic is Puma. I mean, 601 on this Varus. You know, when he lands a fully charged arrow, it's going to do so much work.
It's a far cry from what it looked like it was going to be, right? That bot lane got ahead early for Pentanet, but it certainly has turned back on its head. Much like this game, it seemed like it was Pentanet's to control. Now it's back in the favor of Order. The Baron buff is not going to last too much longer. 45 seconds. Not sure that's enough for them to get this second inhibitor. But they're going to give it a crack. They're going to look for something. They're going to look for an opening. Chungy really pressuring, so is Beats.
Oh, that's
Decent
so
damage.
much damage. Well, Pabu takes less damage there because they hit Decoy first. So that's just so much. I mean, Varus at this point with Baron buff is so oppressive. Like, you can't play. You just get slowed by the Cerulier's Grudge. Probably butchered that. Oh.
Maximize doesn't quite get what he wanted to there. Flashes forward, and it might be the flip once again. Order. This is not the fight they wanted, but Kevy dives in, forces a couple of stopwatches out. Now, which way does this one turn? Puma, piercing arrow, double kill, gets 3 for himself in the fight, and now Chaz is looking to defend solo. I think this game's done. Those are the Nexus Towers going down in the blink of an eye. It was Pentanet, and now it's Order. It's done. The game is over. Order have beaten Pentanet. They've equalized first place. Jubes, I've lost 100,000 channel points, and I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad.
Wait, what? I don't even do the channel point stuff. I'm too busy focusing on the games, not my channel points. What a blinder out of Order. I mean, the game had it all right. It had a lead in the early game for Order. It had a little bit of a swing to PGG, and then it had Order. And is he holding his heart? Is my man's okay? Is he fine? We need to get a check on. We need to get a check on Beats just to make sure he's fine. But I mean, you know, they've got to be happy with that. I think this game for them was like, for Order at least, was can we run it with the big dogs? Like, when it comes to finals, if we're there, if we're in the grand final, are we going to be able to take it? Are we going to be the team that goes to Worlds? And I think maybe they've answered the question.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, they have. Maybe we get a third opinion in here as well. Mac, what do you reckon? Order can tussle with the big boys. It seems like that is the case.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Now, look, Twitch chat, we got to have a word. You know, I thought that maybe you'd get a prediction right today. And I think they did with the first one, so good job for that. But the second one, you haven't. So I'm disappointed with you guys. Someone I'm happy with, though, is Order. What an entertaining bloody game. Pentanet, we've been singing their praises for a little while now, and it seems like they didn't necessarily play bad. It was just Order played really, really well. There were a few mistakes that were capitalized upon by Order, and they just managed to run away with it. You know, that team fight towards the end, I can hear it in your voices as well, that everyone was surprised that that was actually the end angle. Order realized, oh, we got the kills. Oh, okay, well, we can end. We can end. The timers were long enough on the deaths that there was just the time to push for it, and they made it happen. So good to see that Order's macro decision-making is really damn on point at the moment. But Pentanet are going to Copenhagen and then also receive a friend at the top of the table, because that's going to be 2 teams right up there now with Order's victory today.
Yeah, I mean, head-to-head, I do believe BTG still have it, right? If I'm not mistaken. But, I mean, what a game.
Yes, head-to-head.
Yeah, what a game for conference. I mean, you know, equal first, all to play for now for Order. I think there's a stat as well. Again, I'm not the stat guy, but there's a very, very famous stat where, like, the team that finishes first, I think it's won like 8 times the whole thing. So you definitely want to be first place if you're a statistic man.
Well, it certainly, stats-wise, makes sense. And looking at all of these numbers, Jubes, you said you were interested in this damage. Are you looking at the Varus there?
Yeah, I was looking at the Varus. I think that's just such a big effort. Poke champions often have a little bit of inflated damage because you're just standing there like getting passive damage that sometimes doesn't mean much because it just it falls into the reset category. But the fact that he's picked up as many kills as he did, which I'd have to get a stat check, I think it was about 9 or so, and didn't die, I believe. It's just a really, really solid performance from Puma.
Yeah, just
I mean, the whole
absolutely
team, but like Puma.
Yeah, Puma as well as Puma, and then sometimes even Puma obviously playing consistently. And then also there's Puma down in that bot lane who generally does a whole lot of the damage dealing. And then we also have Puma. Can we get Puma on the broadcast quickly? I think Puma's going to be doing the interview. I'm pretending it's Nat, Phil. I'm trying to say Nat's Puma. Everyone's Puma. That was the joke, but you ruined the joke, Phil. You didn't bring Nat in. It's okay. It's all right. Sometimes things don't work. Someone that does work and does a very good job is Nat. Nat, how you doing? How are
I'm
you?
doing good. You're like Oprah. You're like, you get a Puma, and you get a Puma, and you're Puma, and then we're just all a little bit of Puma.
That's it. That's it. Now, I just got told it's not actually Puma down on the side lanes.
Yeah, I didn't
it's
want to
Max,
break it
right?
to you. Yeah, it is. It is going to be Maximize, someone who I think still put in pretty solid effort for that game. Now, Maximize, congratulations, first of all, but please walk me through how you are feeling right now after getting a win over PGG.
I mean, like these two to go 2-0 this week when we're versus Chiefs and Pensonet, and like have the games be like pretty confident, like decisive as well. Like it feels really, really good. And although they don't mean too much in the grand scheme of things, like seeding wise, like the fact that we have had these games is like a really big confidence boost for the whole team heading into playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you say like it doesn't matter too much for seeding, but yeah, that confidence for you guys must be absolutely through the roof. Now, I feel like you kind of lied to me. You know, Puma and Chungy both said that you guys hadn't really prepped too much for PGG, that most of your prep went to Chiefs. You guys look so phenomenal today. What was the key to it? How do you think you won that game so convincingly?
I think we got like, it was a really weird draft from PGG. I think the Jax pick was definitely something we were not really expecting, and it really threw a bit of a spanner in the works. They kind of defaulted back to their like really slow style though. And then once we like got the tempo and we like sort of like accelerated the game a bit, they couldn't really keep up, and we just pressed our advantage and took the win. So yeah, nothing special, just a bit of putting the foot on the gas.
For sure, and you guys never really eased up there, except for maybe around the middle of the game, I guess we could say. It definitely looked pretty much dead even. You both were sitting there on the same number of dragons. Fights were kind of, you know, a coin toss. Were you guys worried during that time? And if so, like, what was the game plan to get back on top?
I think there's always some like doubt when you're playing against PGG because they are such an experienced, like well-drilled team. So we sort of ended up in a bit of a stalemate, like going to Nash, going to Dragon, like back and forth, bouncing side waves. But eventually, like they just made a mistake, which is, I guess, a bit uncharacteristic. But like we punished it really well, and after that happens and we get Nash, the game is really, really hard for them to play.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal that you guys could capitalize on that small mistake that they made. The last question I do have, though, is who was making that call? Or, you know, how did you know that this is it? You guys could end this game, and why were you so decisive in just ending it right then and there?
It kind of sounds like deja vu, but I'm legitimately just going to say Puma again. Like when Puma's in a position to carry and like he knows he can like do the stuff to end the game, like he would just be so like affirmative, like he'll be so confident, and he like was there that game like, we can see each guys, don't worry, like I'll like one shot the Phalios from like half a screen away, which he ended up doing. I missed my little E flash at the end there, so my mechanics weren't up to scratch, but we still managed to close it out.
You guys looked absolutely on fire tonight. Congratulations again on the win, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Good to hear from him, as always. And look, that of course brings us to one of our favourite segments, which is the player that delivered. And I think there is no surprise that this, of course, is Beats, because Beats did admit that he got carried in Twitch chat. No, it's actually Puma. You can see him on your screen. He's got the finger guns, and he was doing a whole lot of shooting there in the bot lane as Varus. 9-0 and 2, 68% kill participation, but just so much damage share, 33%. And there was a few other people that had some pretty high numbers, but no numbers as high as this man. Always in the right place and dishing out the damage that was necessary, Juice.
Yeah, Mac, you actually sold me there, by the way. When you said Beats and I saw Puma pop up, I literally thought I had the wrong feed. And I was going to be on the phone to the producer and say, oh, wow. But 9-0 and 2, deathless performance. I mean, damage share says it all, 33%. That's huge, big numbers for a big man, for a big player. And if you're in the order camp, you're very happy. And I mean, you know, you'd have to say, well, is Puma a shout for most improved of the split of the year? I would say he is.
Yeah, I guess going from split 1 to this split,
Yeah.
you'd have to say. So at least in terms of proving that he can be an extremely consistent piece of the puzzle for Order. You know, first split, he was there a few times, but Order just didn't feel like as strong of a roster. Whereas now, they're just kicking goals, such as today, taking down PGG, and getting to the top of the leaderboard, which I don't think anyone expected. If you go back and have a look at those predictions from the start of the split, everyone expecting what the leaderboard's going to look like at the end of the split, I don't think a single person would be completely correct. However, we do need to get to another game that, of course, is going to be Dire Wolves and Legacy. So get your Cat Jams, Rat Jams, and Mac Jams going in chat, because we've got another beautiful one from ! Playlist if you want to see it from Warner. But after this, game number 3.
Fisher doesn't quite connect onto Praden. Now Puma might be under a bit of pressure. Decoy gets in there deep, but he's on his own. Chaz and Praden just a bit too far away to make a difference. Maximize ticking. Oh! The Ludens proc gets it done. Oh, Maximize doesn't quite get what he wanted to there. Flashes forward, and it might be the flip once again. Order. This is not the fight they wanted, but Kevy dives in, forces a couple of stopwatches out. Now, which way does this one turn?
Okay.
Puma! Piercing arrow, double kill, gets 3 for himself in